in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
What is up, everybody? This is Hater Radio. My name is Chris McLean. I'm here with my co-host, Ian Gibson. How are you, Ian?
I'm doing good. Really getting into the whole bowl season. We had, I think, 3 so far.
Yeah, last night was West Virginia, Memphis. It was a pretty exciting game.
Yeah.
So we're here now. We're into the playoff season, and it's the last month of college football, which does suck, but you know what? It's going to be exciting. We have these first round playoff games on campus, and I was thinking about going to the Texas Clemson game. I was looking at the logistics of that, and it just is not feasible right now for me. Maybe next year. I really wanted to, because it's going to be historic. The fact that it's these first time these playoff games are being on campus, but you know what? I'll probably do next year. I'll make sure to make that a priority. But either way, I'm excited for these games. So let's get into it. Well, actually, let's first talk about the Florida Tulane game on Friday. We'll talk about that briefly, and then we'll get into the playoff games. Ian, what's your thoughts on this game?
So there's definitely a lot of, I wouldn't say like hype. It was more like last time Florida made a bowl game with Billy Napier, it was a complete disaster. They lost 30-3 to Oregon State, and it was just a mess. Now they're going into this. Yeah. Sorry about that. But they're coming. They're playing. Tulane, former SEC opponent. So that'll be exciting. It's in the Gasparilla Bowl. The Gators. I actually did the math. They are actually playing in Raymond James Stadium for bowl games have a losing record. Mostly because of the Outback Bowl. When they went to Outback Bowl, I think 3 straight times and lost 3 straight times under Ron Zook.
Yeah.
But with that being said, and then of course they lost the Gasparilla Bowl against UCF. Tulane, they've had a lot of transfers. Obviously, Mensa is transferring, so now they're going to be starting the backup, which is kind of boding well for Florida. Florida is the favorite, but I would not sleep on this Tulane team. I think, though, Florida has bigger playmakers right now. And I think if Lagway goes off, there's a very good chance Tulane just can't keep up. I think it'll be close in the first half, but I think Florida wears them down eventually. And I'm going to go Gators winning. I'll go with like a 27-17 win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really excited about this game. I'm going to watch it, but with Mensa being leaving Tulane, it doesn't really bode well for them performing well, because I still think they have a talented team, but I feel like the Gators have a lot of momentum coming into this game. Their defense is peaking right now, and Lagway, with a couple weeks off, I think it's 3 weeks off, should be pretty healthy coming into this game. I feel like it should be like a 31 to like probably 20 game, and maybe Tulane scores that late to make it look closer. But as far as these other games that we've got to cover for bowl games, I'm just not as interested. I know, like, whatever. I'm more interested in the playoffs, but I'm going to talk about these other games real quick. USC Texas A&M is a really interesting game. I feel like USC should win this one, but it seems like it's going to be a lot closer because A&M very capable running the ball. USC's defense is better than the last couple of years. USC has had a lot of transfers out over the last couple of days and weeks. I feel like USC should win this game, but I don't know. What are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to win this game?
I would probably say, if I had to be betting here, A&M defensively has been very spotty. They gave up 44 against South Carolina. They gave up over 40 against Auburn, and yet somehow they held Texas to 17. So I don't know what the deal is there. But USC, they kind of rely on their offense, and they're going to need that to win this game. It depends on what defense shows up for A&M, but I feel like I don't know. I have a feeling that A&M will just wear USC down, and they're going to play keep away a bit because they know that's USC's strength. So I think A&M will like kind of salt away a win. So I'm going to go Aggies winning with I'll go low scoring. I'll go like 20. Let's go like 28 to 20. I said low scoring and they're in the 20s, but
yeah, I mean, it seems like I'm favoring USC because I like their offense here to score some points, but yeah, I'm gonna go with USC. I feel like USC could win this game. I feel like their offense was getting a little bit better at near the end of the season with their quarterback situation getting figured out, and I feel like Maivia is going to be able to put up points here. I'm going to say USC wins like 31 to like 24. Okay. Last bowl game we have before we'll talk about the playoffs. USF going up against San Jose State in the Hawaii Bowl on Tuesday. I just heard that Nash, the wide receiver for San Jose State, is not going to play. The kid has put up huge numbers, pretty much ranking first in every statistical category for a receiver. So he's not going to play. So San Jose State, I think because of that, they rely heavily on him for their offense, but they still throw the ball a ton. I feel like they could probably score a decent amount because USF's defense has been pretty porous all year. If Byron Brown plays and is at decent health, we will see. We'll find out when we get into the game. It looks like he's going to be playing. I think South Florida can score at least like 28 points here in this game, but I think San Jose State is going to score more. I'm going to say San Jose State wins like 42-28. What do you got, Ian?
Yeah, I would probably say the interesting thing is that San Jose State, even without Nash, are going to be throwing the ball a lot. And we know that is, especially in the secondary, is going to be something USF needs to key on.
Right.
What USF team shows up is going to be very crucial because, like I said, that Rice game, it was like they just were packed up and ready to go Hawaii. They didn't even want to play the game. It wasn't until late that they actually woke up. They were sleepwalking that whole game. But then there's games where, they blow out Tulsa, Charlotte, all that, stuff. This is a chance too. Golish still does not have a win over a team that has finished 500. And if they do this against San Jose State, that would count. If it is a bowl game or not, it would count. So there is stuff right on the line here. One thing I think that's going to be the key here, whether Brown starts or not, is that if the run game of Joyner and Naquan Wright can still keep the momentum going, because San Jose State has averaged, at least in the Mountain West Conference and standings, about middle of the pack. They averaged about giving up about 155 yards a game. That's something to work with if you're USF, if they're giving up that much a game. So I feel like I think it'll be close. I would probably say, though, it might come down to whoever has the ball last. I would probably say maybe San Jose State squeaks one out. I think USF keeps it close, but I just don't think the defense would be able to keep up on the passing attack because I haven't really seen them do that great of a job against a team like this season. So I'm gonna go Trojans winning. I'll go. I'm sorry, Spartans. Sorry, I'm thinking of SC. I'll go Spartans winning. Let's go like 34-31.
Okay. Let's move on to the playoff games. Okay, the first game on Friday is the Indiana-Notre Dame game. Kind of fitting that the very first ever on-campus playoff game is at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is synonymous with college football. They've been a blue blood since the very beginning of college football, in the heydays of the early 20th century. So, this game is pairing two teams with two high offensive outputs. They're number 2 and 3 respectively as far as scoring offense. Notre Dame is the 11th best rushing team, 224.8 yards per game. As far as passing, they're 97th, 196.4 yards per game. They're the 3rd best passing defense and the 44th best rush defense. I might have that flipped. No, that's right. Yeah. So, and then Notre Dame has the 2nd best turnover margin. As far as their schedule, they beat A&M, Louisville, Army, Navy, and USC. And they also beat a Georgia Tech team without Haynes King. And they also lost to Northern Illinois. Indiana has the 69th rush offense.
Nice.
At 160 yards per game. Pass offense, 33rd best offense passing wise, 254.9 yards per game. Indiana has the first or the number 1 overall rush defense at 76.2 yards per game, and the 13th best pass defense. And they have the 5th best turnover margin at plus 1.1. They had a very weak schedule outside of Michigan and Ohio State. It was a close game against Michigan and a loss to Ohio State. The rest of their games were relatively easy and there were blowouts. I like Indiana a lot in this game. I feel like Rourke is very capable of making plays here. Indiana can score. They make non-offensive touchdowns as well. I think their defense is strong enough to be able to limit Notre Dame here. And I think if they can shut down the run game of Notre Dame, I don't know if Notre Dame's running back. I thought he was hurt. What's his name?
Oh, it's
Lovejoy or Lovey, something like that.
Yeah, Love,
yeah. I don't know if he's playing in this game because I know. Let me see. Injury. Okay, he's expected to play. Yeah, I mean, I think Love is very dangerous, and Riley Leonard does pose a threat in the ground game. So I feel like Indiana can shut them down. Like they've been able to be effective against the run against almost everyone. And if that's the case, if they shut down the run game, I don't really respect Notre Dame's passing attack. And if they get into a game where it's a shootout, where Indiana scores more than 30 points, I don't think Notre Dame has a chance. So I think if Notre Dame can keep the game like a 20 to 24 point output from Indiana, they should be able to win the game. But I like Indiana's chances. I mean, Notre Dame's defense is really good. I don't know. I mean, these games are all going to be close going out the rest of the year. The playoff is much different than the rest of the year, where there's usually a pretty decided advantage from one team to the other. This time, now for the games going forward, it is really close. All these teams are really good. I was looking at the scoring averages for all the teams that I'm talking about today, and like almost all of them were in the top 25 scoring offenses in the country. And so it's just the fact of the matter, these teams are all really good. I'm going to go with Indiana. I'm going to say Indiana wins probably like 31-24. What do you got, Ian?
So the funniest thing about this whole thing was when Freeman, a while ago, he made a little quip. He said he hopes for a home playoff game, expecting SEC teams having to come in to South Bend, Indiana, in the dead of winter, having to go from a tropical, more warm environment into the frigid cold. Now you're playing Indiana, literally in your own backyard. So funny how that worked out. Another thing, doing the homework on this, because I knew we were talking about this game. Indiana has not played Notre Dame since 1991. That was the last time they faced off. And the last time Indiana beat Notre Dame, I think they have about 27 total meetings, not a lot. Yeah. But the last time Indiana beat Notre Dame in South Bend was 1898.
Oh, my God.
Hawaii was just annexed into the Union that year. So it's not the greatest track record for them. But here's the thing.
But they haven't played each other that much.
Though, yeah, exactly.
I don't ever really recall Notre Dame playing Indiana that much.
1991 was the last time they did it. If you want your hockey fact, Mario Lemieux just won his first cup with the Penguins. So
yeah,
there you go. But yeah, with this game, I think this is what the key is going to be, is how the defenses play with each other. Because Notre Dame, passing-wise, Riley Leonard definitely is good, but that passing offense was in like the 100 range in college football. And defensively, Indiana, we know Notre Dame is going to rely on the run, but Indiana, like you said, has the number one rushing defense in the country, and they have a top 10 defense in the passing game. So even if they want to pass, Indiana is going to be ready for it.
Yeah.
And we know Indiana's offense is good. They're very balanced at 25th in the country in total offense. And it's just going to be a matter of how well Notre Dame does defensively in the pass game. They have a top 5 passing defense, but I feel like the run game, if Indiana can make a more balanced attack, I feel like they can get it going. And I think it's going to be whoever scores this many points more. I feel more confident in Indiana scoring more than 30 points than Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Hoosiers winning this one. I'm going to go with a 31-24 win for Indiana.
That's the same score. That's
yeah,
it's honestly, it makes sense. Honestly, what you said, it lines up because Indiana has the better offense, like balance-wise. I think Notre Dame probably has a better rushing attack, but Indiana can do multiple things. I like Rourke as a passer better than Leonard, even though I like Leonard a lot. Leonard is very multiple. He can do different things, but again, this Indiana defense is really good. And I think that may be what a lot of people are overlooking is the fact that this Indiana team, like you said, it seems likely if this game is just isolated and you look at it in a vacuum, it seems like Indiana has a higher probability of scoring more than 30 points than Notre Dame. And that's just the fact of the matter. So really it comes out in this game for Notre Dame to win. They're going to have to really keep Indiana in check. And I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, let's move on to Saturday's games. We have 3 games on Saturday. The first game being SMU Penn State. It's going to be very cold. Yeah, the Notre Dame game is going to be cold. The SMU Penn State game is going to be cold. The Ohio State Tennessee game is going to be cold. The only game that is not going to be freezing cold is the Clemson Texas game, which was largely one of the reasons why I wanted to go to that game, was because the weather was going to be decent and I wouldn't have to deal with snow getting around to get to the game. But no, this game, SMU Penn State, I think this game is very sneaky because Penn State lost to Oregon, lost to Ohio State, the only 2 real games they played all year. Their only win over against a decent opponent all year was against Illinois. So Penn State really has struggled all year against really good teams. SMU, on the other hand, lost to BYU, but BYU was that game was before Jennings took over, and then they beat TCU, they beat Duke, they beat Pitt, they beat Louisville, and they barely lost to Clemson at the last second Clemson hitting that field goal with no time left. And, I feel like this SMU team, looking at the stats, their rush defense is really good. Pass defense struggles, which, Penn State can throw the ball around. They have the 41st pass offense, but they're a better rush offense because Nick Singleton and I can't remember the other running back for Penn State, but they have a two-headed combo there, and they use their tight end as well to be able to run some plays as well. But no, SMU passing offense, 18th best in the country. I feel like they should be able to pass the ball on Penn State. Penn State, their numbers are a little inflated because they've played a lot of terrible teams with bad offenses. So they've looked a lot better defensively because of that. And then the games they've played against better teams, Oregon was able to throw the ball all over them. Ohio State won the game but didn't have a great statistic output. I feel like SMU is going to be able to move the ball here effectively. They have the offense with Jennings to be able to do some stuff. But I feel like Penn State is going to be able to move the ball as well. SMU has the 94th best pass defense, which is not very good. They were in a lot of shootouts all year. I feel like Penn State should win this game, but it's going to be close. I'm going to say like a 34-31 game, and maybe we go to overtime type game. What do you got, Ian?
So you bring up a point about competition, and I didn't mention with Notre Dame and Indiana, but I think that is kind of a deal with Penn State because, yes, it's been a historically known thing that in big games, Penn State hasn't done very well under James Franklin, and their one good win was against Illinois. That's their only ranked win so far this year.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, is Ohio State and Oregon, both of those games, they did play very well, but not good enough, and now SMU is coming in. The expectation is now they can't let their heads get inflated and thinking, okay, this is the ranked win we're going to get because it's cold. It's, SMU coming off a loss. But the one thing those two teams have in common is that they were elite offenses, and SMU is right there, especially when Jennings is on. We saw, if you want an example, just watch the ACC championship. Even though they lost, that was, one of the best offenses run in the country. So they have struggled to handle elite offenses, and speed kills them with the athletes at wide receiver. And that is something SMU has. And I honestly think it might kill them again because as good as Penn State's defense is, I feel like SMU will find a way to spread them out and make them very thin on the secondary. And I think they can do that. They've done it before and they can do it again. I'm going to go Mustangs. I'm going to go Ponies winning this one with the upset. I'll go with a 28 to let's go 28-23.
Yeah, and I definitely wanted to pull the upset. I think I'm out of these two first games, I think I'm more a believer of Indiana than SMU, but I could see SMU winning this game as well. And like you said, James Franklin, I didn't bring it up, and I'm glad you did. He's, been a big game loser. He's only won one or two of these big games in a decade of being at Penn State. And you get to the point where you're basically you are who your record is. You can't differentiate that. You can't say you're not. And so, for years they got away with, we didn't make the playoff, whatever. It was only 4 teams. It's a lot harder. Now they're in. And so they're getting their chance and they're making the playoff. But if he loses these games, what do they start to say? I mean, they're paying him all this money, and there's a lot of resources at Penn State going towards the football program. And if it's not getting results, I don't know. I mean, Penn State fans are obviously very reluctant for change. The last 10, 15 years with Joe Paterno, they didn't complain at all, really. And there were a lot of bad teams in those runs. And, I think they're fine with Franklin because they are winning 10, 11 games each year, and now they're in the playoffs, so they're in the mix. But if they're not winning these games, at some point you have to say something. And so maybe we'll see something if they lose this game, but who knows? Let's move on to later that Saturday is Clemson, Texas. In Austin, the weather is going to be like 60 degrees, so it's going to be nice weather. I'm seeing like the price for a ticket is pretty low, which was another reason why I might have gone to this game. And also the fact that there's not as much interest, and they're afraid that it's not going to be a sellout. You know, I saw some people complaining that it's the week before Christmas, and I'm like, come on, man. These other 3 stadiums are clearly sold out. Like, we got to sell this game out. Like, there's no reason why you can't get fans of this game. Okay, so Clemson has the 49th best rush offense with the 14th best pass offense at 275 yards a game, which I've noticed that as well. Klubnik has had a really strong year passing the ball, especially after that Georgia game. He's looked really good. As far as defense, Clemson has the 45th best rush defense and the 69th best pass defense. So not very good on both of those totals, kind of average. They beat Pitt and SMU. They lost to Georgia pretty badly, lost to Louisville, and they lost in a squeaker to South Carolina at the last second. As far as Texas goes, 60th best rush offense, 12th best pass offense, which I found a lot of people criticizing Quinn Ewers, and I was like, why are they criticizing him? He's one of the better passers in the country. I don't get it. I just feel like there's undue criticism there. They have the 12th best rush defense at 106 yards per game. First best pass defense, only allowing 143 yards per game. They beat A&M. They lost to UGA twice. Last time they lost to Georgia was in the SEC championship game in overtime. This game, I'm telling you, I feel like it's going to be a blowout. I feel like Texas is going to beat them pretty handedly. And that's another reason why I didn't want to go, because it's like this is the worst game of the 4 games, and it's not going to be competitive. I feel like Texas just is way overmatched here, Clemson is way overmatched here, and they got lucky to get into the playoff. They sneaked in by winning the conference championship. I like Texas a ton. To be able to hold Clemson in check, I feel like they did a really good job against Georgia in that game. They should have beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. They put up a ton of yardage. They just couldn't capitalize in the red zone. I feel like with a couple weeks between that game, that Sark hopefully can figure that out and hopefully has the red zone scoring corrected here. If they, oh shit, hold on a second. Okay. Sorry about that. It may run out as well because the battery's really low. But no. So let's do these really quick. So I feel like Texas is going to win this game pretty easily. I feel like Texas's defense is going to be pretty strong. I feel like Quinn Ewers is going to have a good game, and I feel like Texas is going to win probably like a 35 to like 17. What do you got, Ian?
Yeah, this one is kind of the biggest mismatch to me, and what it's going to boil down to simply is if Texas can get out of their own way. That's how they've lost these games against Georgia and kept teams in this. They just were their own worst enemies. If they limit the turnovers and play as good as we know they can play, they're going to win this one easily. I just don't think Clemson can keep up. I'm going to go with let's go 31-14.
Okay, last game we have Tennessee, Ohio State, probably the best matchup of all four matchups. This game is really interesting because Tennessee has a really good defense and both rushing and passing. Their offense is a really good rush offense. They have, Dylan Sampson has huge numbers all year. And Nico is competent in the passing attack, but they're like 77th in the country. So not great there. But I like them to be able to move the ball against Ohio State. And I feel like a running attack here in a very cold weather game, which is, again, this is going to be a very cold game. I feel like that it will be effective here. The passing attack would be kind of limited. So it favors a better running team, which Tennessee is. And Ohio State, their defense is strong. It's probably, I'd say it's second best pass defense, 144 yards allowed a game, sixth best rush defense, 97 yards allowed a game. I mean, this is going to be a very low scoring game. I'm going to say like a 20-17 game. Ohio State beat Penn State, beat Indiana, lost to Michigan. I lost the camera again. God damn it. Let me see if I can do this without it. Right. Hold on. I don't know why this is doing this. Okay. Either way, let's just finish it off real quick. I like Tennessee in this game, in a low scoring game, because I feel like they're a better running attack. Ohio State does have the advantage of being at home. It's cold weather game. A lot of Tennessee's players are from, more southern states. Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. So they're not used to a cold weather game like this in the 20s. But I feel like Tennessee running the ball effectively, which I know they'll be able to do, will be able to take advantage of that. But Ohio State does have the fact that Will Howard can throw the ball better and is more effective than Nico. And maybe that's the difference. Maybe Will Howard is able to actually make some plays here. And he struggled in that Michigan game. And Ryan Day has a lot riding on this game. And if they lose this game, then, this is it. So I expect Ryan Day to pull out all the stops, maybe some trick plays, maybe some different things. So I'm going to say Ohio State wins. I'm going to say close. I'm going to say 20-17, like I was saying earlier. What do you got, Ian?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between the two because one has everything to lose and all the pressure, and the other is kind of more relaxed and no pressure. Not saying that Tennessee, there's any, they obviously want to win this, but given the circumstances between the two teams, Tennessee definitely, it's good that they're in this and they definitely have the potential to go deep, but Ohio State, it is ride or die right now. Because you can't just like lose to Michigan and then drop this kind of game. So we're going to see how much, if there's any pressure gets to Ohio State right now, because they know they have to win this game and have a deep playoff run in order to save Ryan Day's job. Personally, in my opinion, the one thing to note with Tennessee here is that they have not won. I remember I mentioned this against when we talked about them against Georgia this year. They have not won a road game against a top 10 team since 2006, where they beat Georgia, who was number 10 in the country, in Athens. Since then, goose egg all around every time they played a top 10 team on the road. And now they're going to have to, go into, Columbus and try to knock it off and against a really tough environment. I feel like with this one, Tennessee, while they are bouncing, that hurry up is definitely going to be predicated to that. Ohio State's defense has never really been in question. They did a good job containing Indiana, and as much as like the offense really laid an egg against Michigan, they did their job. They held them to 13 points, and that's all you can ask for. The defense has honestly been one of the most underrated units in the country, and I feel like with that, Ohio State limits Tennessee and gives Howard and co more chances to score. I'm going to go with Ohio State winning on this one, predicated on that Chip Kelly and Ryan Day do not be complete idiots again and just run right through the teeth of the defense. Spread them out, pass the ball, play to your strengths, and you will win the game. So I'm going to go Buckeyes winning. I'll go with a 27-17 win for Ohio State.
Yeah, they need to utilize Jeremiah Smith, which I think, I know Michigan's defense was strong, but Jeremiah Smith is probably one of the top 25 players in the country. You need to be using that. I don't care what you do. I would throw it to him 30 times. I don't even want to throw it to anyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone else is there are good players in that wide receiving core, but it's I would totally just target Jeremiah Smith the entire time. But okay. So that is all the games that we have. Please enjoy these games. I'm very excited about this. On-campus stadium is one of the biggest things that we've had probably ever in the history of this sport. We might even get more going forward. So we may get 2 rounds of it, which would be just amazing. So, Friday, 1 game, but then we got a full day on Saturday. I'm very excited about this. Check us on haterradio.com for all of our articles. We've got one on college football playoff, and then one about the Florida momentum from the last couple of games. Hopefully they'll build it here with this Tulane game. And then for the socials, you can find us Hater Radio for all of them, for Instagram, Threads, X, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Just type in Hater Radio, should come right up. Ian, what are your socials real quick before we go?
Yeah, at Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. It's at G_Gator_G.
I'm sorry about all the technical difficulties. I guess my battery was not as charged as I thought it was, but hopefully we'll have it fixed out for Sunday's show. Enjoy these games, and we'll talk to you on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. All right, take care, y'all.